Thank you for waiting, everybody. The day of the question marks. I know you've all been waiting and you're curious. Well, the big question for me was how in the heck do I get into my own Hangout? It wasn't letting me start. Chrome was crashing. I had to switch computers. 15 minutes before the hour, I was rushing into. Well, rushing for me is like, turning a huge wheel over here, and uh, and then one-handed, I had to like figure out how to transport a laptop to the front room, set it up, and then I realized I've only got probably an hour to to use this laptop before it goes out, the battery. So I thought, well, to make sure, I really got to plug this thing in, and my house is not user friendly for me. So I had to figure out how to plug my laptop in and get it going, and then connect with all these wonderful people who've been waiting so uh, diligently and waiting and so forth. So here we are, and Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties is officially 10 minutes late. I apologize to everybody and thank you for dealing with our mishaps. Mostly mine, although I will say that Hangouts has been giving us issues, which additionally means that most of the plans to record the segments of where we were answering the notorious 7 questions will not be able to, we won't be able to actually position them and what do they call it, timestamp it, so that we can locate the questions later. So we'll just have to go with it and have a casual day. But anyway, what I've been thinking about is that we deal with so much data. And as you know, historically, if people have watched this Hangout series from the early days, I'm not big on data. I'm big on theory, I'm big on principles, and I think that we should have to start with some serious inner thought before we go into outer motion. So that's partially of what we set up this Smarties for. So I've been thinking about the technology we've been handing the crowd here, and they've been listening diligently, absorbing it all, and a lot of great conversations. But I started wondering about technology, and it really struck me. It's like the sticky note age is going away. We're getting to the end of the sticky note age, but they've coming up with digital emulations of stickies to use on your computer, so you can stay with the sticky concept and not feel so out of pocket, right? And they're making us feel at home by making digital stickies. Wow. Yeah, I've got one on my computer that's been there for well, it's been on there for 3 generations from 3 prior computers, and it still has the same message because the message sticks. And the message that's on it is focus on the chosen few and be everywhere they turn. Now, I know that you've probably heard that one before, or maybe you haven't, but it's basically my mantra that I've been using for about a decade. And so that's why it's gone through 3 computers. But let's face it, like handwriting is no longer taught in schools. I mean, it's going to be classified with Egyptian hieroglyphics soon, or neoglyphics, or whatever they would call it. But handwriting is going away. My own son cannot read my well, if I had my lower third and if it was working, in a best day with all things, working, I'd have my lower third there. He cannot read my name in the lower third because it's in cursive. So he can't write cursive, he can't read cursive. And I'm going, wow. I mean, a whole era is almost like dropped off the mat because the uh, the technique is no longer taught in schools. There is no practical value in today's everyday life, and the kids are not taught it. They may have, depending upon their age, worked on it when they're 3 years in third grade or so, and since then haven't used it for anything. Don't have to sign their name, punch it out digitally, use their phones, buy online, the whole thing. They don't have to know handwriting, and so they can't read it. Oh, it's an atrocity. What is my point? The times are changing. Times are changing. And so in the midst of this, what are we doing with this technology and how is it affecting our lives? Well, the bottom line is that yesterday's technology is going up in flames. And as an example of that, I know that a decade from now, someone's going to look at the logo, and if you recall what my logo is for R&D Hotline, they're going to say, what is that thing with the flames coming out of the back end of your logo there? Well, it's a phone, dude. It's a phone. You know, pre-cell and post Alexander Graham Bell, and they're gonna go, who? And you know, the times are changing. That's my point. So with that, I think that we as marketers, and the four of us, myself, Terry, Molly, and Karen, periodically have to do some introspection, because if we don't, we indeed will be the ones who are behind the times trying to teach you, our audience, yesterday's news and obsolete strategies. And that is something that I'm adamant. I may not be the cutting edge, I may not do everything perfect, I may not be on the newest thing happening, but I do a few things right. And nowadays, the marketers are out there, the small businesses have no budget and so forth. What do you do? What things do you choose, and how do you decide to process your own internet marketing campaign? How do you design it? What do you focus on? How much do you spend? I mean, there's a lot concerned. And so, and then when most people come into this, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, my other work is not going where I want it to, so I think I'll do an online business, and what am I going to do? Okay, well, so I need this, I need that, and the crowdcast video and play. I don't doubt it. So if everybody hangs out in Google Plus today and watches the Hangout on the event page, I'm fine with that. I'm really through with the technology. I just want to have my show, and you know I've finally gotten used to calling it that, and I don't take any ego stint, weirdness about it. It's a show, but we don't have the type of show that some people have. And without pointing any fingers, I'm just emphasizing that the show is based on education-based marketing. And so my ego set aside, obviously, otherwise I would never have opened this Hangout today, and especially the way I did it. But at any rate, we're going to take an introspective look at 7 questions today. And we're going to ask all of my panelists and myself. I've answered them myself, and so I will divulge what I think of the questions and how I deliberate with the answers. And we'll do that in just a few minutes. Thank you for waiting so long. Ultimately, we're only maybe 7 or 8 minutes behind because I kept my monologue shorter. So we're back to square one. Let's see. Molly's sending me a message. I'm not used to conducting from this laptop, which has, you know, one 15 and a half inch screen maybe, and it's, you know, everything's combined at once. I have 2 screens behind me with a little bit of data, but they're useless, and I'm not, working out the extra, the mouse pad and so forth. So I'm somewhat multiply crippled today, and that's just the way it goes. So we'll have to settle for that. But what I'd like to say to the other panelists, whom I will introduce in a moment, go ahead and unmute the microphones and interrupt me and interject when something's critical, because I'm not going to be able to carry on this running conversation of blah 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 and listen and read your post and figure it out. I trust you. If there's something important, go ahead and cut in and say, wait a minute, Roland, let's talk about this. And I'll get my 7 questions done anyway.
Okay, well that's good, because I wanted to point out that cursive may be dead, but I've been petitioning for them to continue teaching students how to use one of these. Because I think it's technology that should never go away.
And should never.
Besides which, the little door that opens is so cool.
I miss that tremendously. I used to play with those all the time, and then they go bad, and you get to pull it off of there and see if it actually detaches from the rest of. Oh,
you got a whole box. I got like 6 or 7 boxes of these still around in boxes.
I can remember when my brother-in-law handed me Microsoft Word on about 10 of those floppies.
I still
Yeah.
have that set.
Okay, so much for the technological mishaps of yesterday. But times are changing, so we need to keep up too. So, good morning, Saturday morning marketing smarties and smarties everywhere. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you spending the time. I hope that you're getting some smiles out of this, if nothing else. Bunch of high technicians dealing with technical problems every single week. We can't get a comment tracker to work. We can't get our lower thirds to work. We can't, and somehow we're still here perpetuating this program. So we're at least fortunate with that. And so anyway, let's see if our automatic uh, view changers is functioning. And I would like to introduce my three constituents. And this time I'm going to start with Terry. Terry Lee Britton, jack of all trades, master of many. Please say hi.
Hey everybody, good to be here. Floppy disks and everything.
Okay,
Want to see
thank
me
you.
sign my name?
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Well, actually, my cursive was wasted on me. Everybody tells me I should have been a doctor because my signature is so atrocious.
Well, that's a trip. Okay, and let's move on to Karen. I usually introduce her somewhere in the mix there, and she is our San Francisco marketer and a special social media engagement specialist. Say hi, Karen.
Hey, Roland. Hey, everyone. Glad to be here, and we're looking forward to answering the 7 questions.
And as of right now, nobody's been told what they are, and so it's up to me to like spring those on you. And you know, some of them when I do ask you, you're gonna go, "Oh crap, he's asking me that," and it's like, what a waste of the day. Jesus, it was a Saturday morning marketing smarties, and he did this. And so, if that's the case, then I'll own up to it and swallow that. But let's see what it does anyway. No question is a bad one. Well, we'll see, Molly, because we're going to introduce you right now, and then we'll progress with the questions. This is Molly Youngblood Geiger, and she's from Jacksonville, Florida. Say hi, Molly, our Google lady.
Hi everyone, my name is Molly Youngblood Geiger. I am in Jacksonville, Florida, and happy to be here to talk about the questions that Roland has for us today.
This is the first time I've done this to my people, and if I didn't think they could handle it, I would never put them on the spot and say, "Okay, take that, you guys. I'll hand you the curveball and expect you to hit a home run." But I know that they're going to anyway, and I'm hoping that these 7 questions make sense to people, and that when we answer the questions, you do some introspective thought on your own businesses or your own exploits online, and maybe it might change a little bit of how you're conducting business and what your plans are, what your goals, and some of your strategies. So, does anybody want to say anything before we get started? Shall I just fire it away?
Fire away.
Okay. And here I am dealing with my 2 computers. So we're going to move down from this. Okay. And I started to write out the basics of each question in Crowdcast, but nobody's there anyway, so what the hell. The question number 1, what is it that people need most from internet marketing?
Who would you like to start with? Roland, do you want me to?
It's
I'll go ahead and answer that.
I want you to start because you spoke up, yeah.
Sure. What people need from internet marketing is they need exposure. I tell people all the time, this is kind of my little tagline I tell people, but you have to tell people who you are and what you do. Because if you don't, they're not going to know about your service. And this is across the board. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in, or if you're a large business, or if you're a single entrepreneur. You have to utilize marketing, or what I've referred to as digital marketing. There's many different avenues of digital marketing, but if you don't, then people aren't going to know about your business. So that's the short version. People need to know who you are and what you do.
That's good, Molly. Thank you. And that's what I'm looking for today. I'm looking for the short version but very succinct things that are of value, so that when people hear what we're saying, they have something that they take away and remember. And they remember the most important things. Because it's when we forget the most important things and get caught up in the detail that somehow we get off track. So anyone else, Karen or Terry? I'm going to force it on you if you don't speak up, so might as well.
Actually,
Karen
I was
goes.
going to say was Richard Clarkson had a good one. What you really need in your marketing is, of course, customers and prospective customers or prospects. So how do you go out and find them? You know, where do you go out and find them? Do you use it from your site? Do you use your social media channels? You know, how do you find? It's back to Molly, again, is getting that exposure.
Very good, and I agree totally. So, and in a lot of respects, that's you know, symbiotic with what Molly said, the exposure, and the whole concept of reaching people and touching people and something. Terry, what do you think?
Oh, I got one more. Actually, Andrew Hatchett
Okay.
has a good one. Good bandwidth.
Right, to the point.
Which is so true today, right?
Well, you know, we could itemize probably 150 things of that nature that we need, but I think that we're focusing on the right strain of answers that I was hoping for. But either way, thank you, Andrew. Bandwidth is important. Terry, what do you think?
I think I should pay better attention. I was messing around with the comments. What was the
you want me to
question?
ask the question?
Yeah.
The question is basically, what is it that people need most from internet marketing?
Oh, from internet. You mean? Well, I mean, of course they need money. What they need the most from the tools, I imagine, is what you mean.
No, just from the whole concept of marketing. Like when someone says you need to do internet marketing, what is it that they're implying, and what is it they should be thinking about as a response to that?
Oh, okay. Well, this is a good throwback to your opening statements about cursive and my demonstration of having a lot of floppy disks in the house. This has changed over time, hasn't it? In the 90s, you need internet marketing meant to stuff keywords into your web page, your HTML web page, and have the meta keywords tag have hundreds of keywords with repeats in them in order to be seen by anybody because of the way AltaVista and the other search engines used to work pre-Google. And even when Google came out, Google had to fight quite a bit to nullify the impact of the keyword stuffing thing. So back in the 90s, early 2000s, it was, you know, you have to do internet marketing mostly meant you have to stuff keywords into the headers of all of your pages. Now that that's thankfully been put to bed and no longer works at all. In fact, if you do still have old web pages with those keywords all over the place, you're penalized. And but then came the display ad and the finagle as many keywords into your website content as possible, or the old pre-Panda days, right? And so that became this whole big focus it lasted 5 years. Every SEO expert was making mega bucks figuring out what kind of stuffing they could do on your page and using fancy synonyms for words and all that kind of stuff. So that's all also been handled since Panda now and the other updates. No, you can't get away with that stuff anymore. In fact, if you notice your keyword stuffing in your content, you are penalized.
Well,
and the relationship marketing thing came up, that it was realized that content marketing has to be more than just the content. You have to develop relationships with people and get social. And so that's sort of the era we're in now. And so that's
I would add to
Terry.
that emotional marketing. That is a concept that a lot of people don't realize, that if you can come up with a campaign or just a concept to connect with your audience on an emotional level, that is actually a technique that's used by internet marketers as well.
All
Yeah.
right. So I want to wrap up this question because I'm going to move on to the next one. But I love what the feedback is from everybody, and the emotional statement, Molly and Terry. If it doesn't involve an emotional, it's not grabbing. So I mean, the emotion is necessary to instill some connection that wants to draw the people and they want to attach themselves to where you're leading, and otherwise your marketing is nil. It's worthless. And so we have to touch people. So my summation with this was exactly where you guys ended up in the discussion, and that my two-word summation that I have on my page is relationship opportunities. Now, combine that with the fact that if you're not prepared to stand up and conduct the relationship, the opportunity is lost. But the thing is that people have to find a relationship opportunity, and that's what the internet marketing does, gives them that opportunity. And then if they step in and make use of the opportunity via Hangouts, emails, lists of some kind, and, comments and exchanges of chats and so forth. If you don't build relationships, it's a waste of time. So my two words were relationship opportunities, and that's enhanced with the idea that someone's got to be ready to take advantage of that.
But
So I
also,
think that we've covered that.
yeah, but also, Roland, wouldn't you also say, besides relationships, is that you have to have a clear, I guess, understanding and also provide education and solutions to
Absolutely.
customers and to prospects to know that, hey, I am this person that has this information that I can help you. And
Sure.
I'm more than happy to help you by providing you, great content, solutions.
What you're talking about, Karen, what you're talking about, excuse me for interrupting you, but what you're talking about is the strategy of how to use the relationship opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So how you use it is one thing. Having the opportunity is the basis for the answer to question number one. And then following that, you are absolutely right. It's got to be based on an education-based marketing concept where the people learn more about you and can become smart about what you offer as compared to what is on the internet at Total, so that they can pick and choose and understand why you're a good solution for their needs. I mean, they've got to be educated.
I would add to that, Ron, that it's also very important as a business owner, if you're going to utilize digital marketing, that you almost have to not only market towards your audience, but you really need to build your relationship in the sense that you need to build yourself as an authority or a leader within your industry, so that when somebody comes to you, and I know we talked about this in earlier episodes, but you want people to feel like you're approachable. And I know for myself, I started my digital marketing campaign, 4 or 5 years ago, and I've actually grown an audience of people where, if I'm not posting daily, or if I, don't talk about a certain subject, they go, hey, what's going on? So I think if you can share enough content, and I mean, there's so many different tools, and I just quickly add, I did a post, I think it was yesterday or the day before, on all the tools that Google offers business owners for free. If you go to my profile, you'll find it, because I think it was yesterday or the day before I posted it. But if you can use what's given to you, social media marketing, that's a very cost-effective way of marketing. All the tools that Google gives you, analytics, My Shopping, Google My Business, those are free. All you have to do is invest the time to get it set up. So with that, I know you want to move on to the next question, but honestly, I could sit and talk about this question for the entire Hangout.
Okay, but this is why we're having this very subject, excuse me, and people will, I'll be getting my face slapped after the show's over in the green room. But this is the very reason I'm having this Hangout, because we can have people tools, we can show them the way, we can say, do this, do this, do this. I've got this checklist of things that work and you ought to use them. But if they are not prepared to use them and do what they have to do, the tools are worthless. So what I'm suggesting is that underlying this whole thing, we have the opportunity of building relationships, and whatever tools we use, and some of them are good, some of them are not so good, but if you use some of them, you'll get some results. But the key is the relationships have to be there, and you have to have to step into the pocket to actually engage. So one of the things that we are focused on in this Hangout series is relationship marketing and engagement.
Well,
You can finish this
now
off, Terry.
the form that engagement takes is not going to be the same for every type of business or business person, personality-wise and time-wise. Bill Graham made a good statement that kind of fits a lot of different things, is provide complete answers to incomplete questions. Be able to anticipate the needs of your customer base and give them complete answers. And right away, you have sealed some trust in place by being a real, not just an authority, but by having anticipated what kind of questions they're going to have before they even have them. And
Exactly.
that doesn't even require a constant keeping up with social networks and all this kind of stuff. That just involves getting the information on your website and getting people, and then making it so that's findable by people, because still many people are using Google to find stuff, and so if you can provide all the answers, you're already building trust and developing relationships. So the relationship does not always have to be active, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
A passive form of relationship building, just in the form of being a really good service right out the door with your website, is also a big part of it.
One of the things that I've been literally preaching to the people is, if you get into this business to promote your business and you're not willing to start out by giving first, you've already got the wrong foot out there and the door's already shut in your face. If you're not going to give to the people before you get that penny back, if you get the ROI out of your way and go out and develop relationships and give to the people, that's the way to get started. So number one's done. So to everybody, take a deep breath. I don't even know if we're going to get through all 7. Real quick on this one, I want not so much discussion, but a summation of what you think about this. And I have my thoughts, and they're probably not what you anticipate I'm going to say. But does traditional marketing and advertising work anymore? Anybody?
I think it has a place for it, and I think it's a combination of things now, where you're adding the traditional and the digital / social aspect of it. It's just broadening the marketing in terms of that. I mean, you still need direct mail, you still need billboards. It's still out there. I mean, there are all the things out there. It's not going to necessarily go away, but I think it's going to, of course, it's evolving, but it's out there still.
Yeah, your billboards and TV ads all have a web page to go to now, and a Facebook page and all that kind of stuff now. So
even traditional advertising, like newspapers too, newsletters. I think where the shift is we're all real people. So real world advertising there's always going to be a need for that. But at the same token, we are making a shift to the internet, to mobile. So there's that need for the digital marketing space as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically different communication channels. That's how I have come to the conclusion from being a traditional marketer. It's just another channel. So social media is another channel. SEO, search keywords, another channel. They're all different channels out there. So you have to keep that in mind. It doesn't go away.
I would actually add to that, I think one of the main concerns between traditional advertising and online or digital advertising is the cost associated with it. It is very expensive to advertise on, say, a TV commercial or in the newspaper, or to get a billboard, versus advertising on digital. It's a lot less expensive. So I think it also depends on a business, on where are they at? Are they a startup, or have they been around for 50 years? I think that has plays into the decision.
Yeah, if they're a national brand, then obviously they're already prepared to spend the major bucks to keep the brand in everybody's face and do the push marketing and all that kind of stuff and display advertising and keep their product top of mind in people's minds, just through the sheer force of dollars spent on billboards and display ads. And
I had an opportunity to actually work with a marketer who worked for a very large national chain. I'm not going to mention their name, but she actually did the advertising for magazine articles. And she said, you know, when you open up a nice color magazine and you see that really nice 2-page display, you're looking at about $30,000 to $50,000 that business spent on that magazine advertisement. So again, going back to the size of the company, if it's a corporation, well then yes, obviously, you know, if you've got that type of budget to spend on that, certainly, you know, utilize it. But at the same time, I think it's also consideration for the larger corporations to utilize social media, like Karen was pointing out. You know, those advertisements, or I think it was Terry or Karen was pointing out, those advertisements lead to the digital space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'm gonna trim this down because this is gonna be a whole another episode, right? And the point being, traditional advertising does have its place. So my answer to that was yes, in the right industries, in the right arenas. It's not necessarily going to work for everybody. You know, you pick any one concept, you know, text messaging, mobile, billboard advertising, or this or that. Not any one thing is going to work for everybody or be practical. And another thing is we're dealing with a lot of businesses that are you, me, mom and pop, startups. We don't have a budget. So it's right off the bat, it's like, what are you talking about advertising? I can't afford advertising. But there's a way to get exposure with a form of advertising even at the minimalistic levels, and that's why we do social media, and that's why it's a practical start, and that's why it can be effective, and all those things are a form of advertising. It's just that the social media market of today is of a completely, entirely different nature. And that's
I think social media is really an extension of word of mouth, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's so whether you are a big company or a small company, everyone wants to get word of mouth. So you want to basically build those, you know, brand ambassadors or the evangelists out there who are so excited about your product or service that they'll be out there telling all of their friends and their family and even strangers about how great their product is. And that's ultimately what you want it to happen.
I agree with that.
To get it to become viral. And one thing here I just noticed is Ron Schneeberger has mentioned here in the event thread, you have to be able to identify your market by age, gender, income, etc., and use the tools to find them and target them. So that kind of equates back to either traditional, new marketing, combination of the two. I mean, you got to really find out where your market's at.
I think that you nailed it, Karen, with one thing. It's got to be a combination of the two. And whether you can't really afford traditional marketing, or, I mean, let's face it, if you could, you probably would, right? You'd experience something, someplace where you could spend your money advertising. But there are a lot of people who can't, and so it's like, well, if you're watching this show, you probably are not in the affluent bunch that can afford it. And I'm sorry, Molly, I don't want to extend the conversation. I know everybody's got something to say. 10 words or less, go ahead.
When I first started marketing, I had zero advertising dollars. All I had was an internet connection and a laptop and my website. That was it. And I'm thinking, how am I going to get the word out about who it is and what I do? And I actually ran into a lot of problems because in my field there were a lot of scammers. Meaning, I would get a lead and they would go, oh, well, I paid a website designer $1,500 and they skipped town. And I'm like, how am I going to get customers this way if I've got this type of activity going on? And so the way I did it was I started advertising on social media. I started helping people out in the different product forums on Google, in the Google Partners community. That's where I really found a lot of success in the Google Small Business community. If you get a chance, check them out. But I just started answering questions about subjects that I knew the answer to, and it was through that I started building my network. And just like Karen pointed out, when you build your reputation like that and somebody within your network sees another person that has a need for your service, they'll go, oh, you need to call Molly. She does AdWords campaigns or she does SEO. And I'll actually share with you a real story when the healthcare fiasco happened.
No, we can't do it.
Okay.
We can't share stories. I'm looking for your opinions today. I'm sorry to cut you off. But Molly, once again, you nailed it completely. It's about the effort that we want to put in, and you decided, no, you can't afford to spend money because you don't have money. You've got zero budget. So you went out and started helping people. That's back to Formula One, where you were willing to give and provide value first. So end of subject. Terry, you want to wrap it up? What's your 10 words?
Well, I did the same thing. Here's my 10 words. I still have three major clients I still have today from 8 years ago when I got on forums and answered everybody's questions and solved everybody's problems for free and learned the programming language that I was engaged in so deeply as a result of helping people and solving their problems that I became the mega expert and recognized as such, and wound up with clients calling me up and say, "You've got to be the guy helping us." And that was with zero budget. Now, of course, there's certain fields you better put 10% of your budget aside for advertising, period. But still, it doesn't mean that all fields require that. So.
No, but if nothing else, the people who are out in the listening audience, when they're trying to figure out what they should do, they would need people with our experience to determine, no, you're going to need a budget, or this is something that you can start off as we did, and start establishing something in a much more affordable way. Yeah, you're right, Karen. She's saying 10 words, 10 words. You know, the point is, I don't want to have conversations today. I'm trying desperately not to. But
no, I had 10 words. I had my 10 words and I amplified.
Yeah, right. Okay. But the point is, maybe we can't even contain these things in short statements as it is. But the questions are being answered, and we've got through number 2. Number 2 was, yes, in the right industries and in the right arenas, definitely get into traditional marketing. And early on, we can't afford it, but when the time comes, you have to know how to do it right. So there's a lot involved with the whole thing, but yet the answer is yes. So in spite of the fact that everyone thinks that Roland is totally, thoroughly against any kind of marketing, whatever, he won't buy an ad to save his life. It's not true. It's just that most of the people who are in my listening audience are not looking for a way to spend thousands of dollars a month. So anyway, I appreciate the answer is relative to our crowd, and I appreciate the answers. Number 3, what's the biggest mistake business owners make in online marketing?
I got it. Listening to old experts.
Well.
People who are expert in the old way things used to be, and they won't let go.
Now I want everybody to refrain from shouting any names or pointing any fingers, because that could be dangerous. We're surrounded by a lot of people. Yeah. So, you know, we don't have to point out people or give names, but that was a great answer, Terry. And you probably, see, in 10 words or so, you answered exactly what that was a perfect answer to the question. Do you ladies have anything to add?
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I do. I think just throwing money into AdWords or any Facebook, whatever platforms you're using, just throwing money and not necessarily understanding the analytics, or even getting to the core. What are your goals for your marketing campaign? If you don't know what your goals are, don't even bother spending money, because you're just going to be just throwing it down the drain.
Yeah, and the only way you can measure goals is to test and find a way to test.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I would add to the excellent information that you guys have shared that it's important for a business to stay on top of what is happening now. You can go to Google Alerts, Google News. There's all kinds of resources out there to stay in touch with what is going on today. It is always evolving. You constantly have to keep up with the new technology and the different marketing strategies that are available. And I would add to what Karen said that she's right. You don't just go out there and say, oh, I think I'm going to start an AdWords campaign today, and not have any training. That's the whole point of the Google Partners Program, is everyone in that program, they are very well versed in the strategies that it takes to make an AdWords campaign produce customers. Same goes for analytics. Same goes for Google My Shopping, Google My Business. You have to invest the time to learn what it takes to make those platforms work.
Okay, I love it, and you touched on a really important thing. All of you did. The idea is knowledge, and you said the word specifically. It's education, and I don't care if it's 10 minutes from till noon. We're gonna go overtime. But anyway, thank you for the answer. Except for you didn't answer it. What is the biggest mistake business owners make, Molly?
They don't take and invest time into learning how to use these tools.
Okay, good. And that's basically what I summed it up with the very same thing. The answer to the biggest mistake is assuming they understand or investing in the best solution. They assume they understand, and even if they don't assume they understand, they're looking at someone they think understands it better, like what Terry was saying. They're following the wrong person, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, I'll invest in this," and then they wonder why their money goes down the drain. So when it comes to money and when it comes to mistakes that business owners make, they basically look before they leap. They don't understand. It all steers back to one thing: they didn't get an education about the subject matter. Okay, number 4. What's the biggest mistake marketers make?
I would say the biggest mistake that marketers make is they don't utilize the tools that are available in such a way that it's going to benefit the business. I explain to people all the time that digital marketing, for me anyways, is like a jigsaw puzzle, meaning there's so many different facets of digital marketing. But what may work for one company may not work for another company, and that's what's so key about being a digital marketer is you have to experiment, and like Terry pointed out, you have to test. You have to figure out, well, is social media marketing working? Is AdWords working? What's going to work for my business? So.
How about Karen?
Yeah, I was going to add to it was basically you have to listen to your customer, your prospects. I mean, you have to actually be listening. You can't be pushing your content, your information, whatever you want to call it. You actually have to be receptive and to listen. I mean, that's what the biggest mistakes that marketers do. Also, they also focus, a lot of them sometimes focus more on focus groups and what a particular focus group and not necessarily, you can think things have gone completely right. If you remember New Coke versus Old Coke, right? That's a classic example. A focus group, oh, we should just change the flavor, right? Cause an uproar with the rest of the world. It's like, no, we want, if you remember that, Old Coke versus New Coke, that's the perfect example.
Well put. And Molly suggested the tools and knowing how to apply the right things. And Karen was talking about her subject there. This is all adding up to stuff. People should be listening and watching this episode again because there's some very, very key clues that they could be extracting from this. Terry, do you have something to add?
Well, the biggest thing is to really research your customer's client base. And so it's not just a matter of listening to your clients and being receptive to them. I kind of got a mixed message from what I heard there. Yes, listen to your client if you're a marketer, marketing guy, person. But you have to also take the time to really research their client base and maybe even discover new client bases that your client didn't even think about. New customer base. New opportunities, yeah, and take that time. That's time importantly spent by someone who's touting themselves as a marketing expert. Is that you know how to do market research.
I would add to that surveys and reviews are an excellent way to get those types of insights because if you have a certain product or a certain service you offer, we'll find out from your customers what did they like about that product or service, or what didn't they like about that product or service.
Okay, now I'm going to cap that one and tell you what I thought of number 4. My summation was, and this is it's almost like we're all answering the same question from a little different perspective, right? That's why I wanted to do this today, because I know all of you know the answer, but we would express it with a different emphasis, especially Terry. Okay, my answer to what is the biggest mistake marketers of today make is not having a good overview of today's marketing. they learn something and they think, oh, this is good, I'm good at that. And then they put out their own advertising about this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And yet, 2 years later, the one thing that they did that they said that they made all their money at is no longer acceptable in the marketplace, and they're actually teaching the wrong thing. It's like the keyword thing that Terry was talking about. I was researching a web design company that I was thinking of partnering with a year ago, and I looked at their website, and their website said, oh yeah, guaranteed 30 keywords per page, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, right? And today it's 1, 2, or 3 keywords. So everything changes. We have to be aware of the marketplace and what works, and we have to be aware of what people expect, what their needs are, and also what their abilities are to perpetuate the machine that they design, because they're going to have to get in there and pedal their bicycle. So there's a lot of things, but you have to have a good overview of today's market. You have to be aware of what you are, and it's ever changing. So if you change with it, then you'll be on the education base that's going to have a chance to succeed. So 4 is in the back. And we're going to try to cap these 5 minutes at a time. And we're doing a really good job of keeping it short, but I would just ask everyone to hesitate from going into too much explanation, because I know we've got tons of stories. But what I would like to convey to the people is your bottom line opinions on these subjects. So we got 3 more. Number 5, what is the single most important thing a business owner must do?
My opinion, the single most important thing that a business owner needs to do is they need to assess what do they want out of their marketing efforts. Do they want leads? Do they want sales? Do they want people to go to their website? Do they want to collect maybe a marketing list, like for a newsletter? I think that's really important for a business owner to consider.
Thank you, Molly. That's great. Karen, Terry?
All right, I'll go first. I think the most important thing a business owner has to do is really, really, really care about their customers. And the rest will flow naturally from there.
That's the kind of clue that I'm looking for. It isn't the one that I thought of, but it's definitely way, way, way up there. Karen, what do you think?
I think it's a combination of two. I mean, definitely about the customer, because customers now can go anywhere, right? They can buy online, they can go to a store, they can go buy at a pop-up place. I mean, they have so many options now. So what it really comes down to is having the best customer service, / knowledge or experience that you have, that you can differentiate yourself from others. Because products are pretty much the same when you come to think of it now. So you got to figure out what your differentiators are.
I summarized this a little bit differently, but reflected basically the same stuff. Because indeed, if you do the thing that I said was necessary, you have to care. And it's a great thing if the care is based on customer service and helping the people and being of service and delivering value. But I looked at it a little differently from the standpoint of the first thing that a business owner has to do. He's got to show up. The business owner's got to show up. You can't hire somebody else to do your marketing and say, okay, take it away, get me business. But because when you start doing your business, you're the business. You've got to be involved, and you've got to show up to the platform too. If you don't, then you're just advertising. You're not doing, today's marketing. You're doing a form of marketing that was extinct 10 years ago. But it coupled with today's marketing, you've got to show up. You've got to be able to put your best foot forward. You've got to put your face on video, answer questions. You've got to answer emails. You've got to talk to people. You must show up. Whatever you do and whatever form that your business efforts take, you've got to show up. You've got to be there, and you've got to be willing to diligently participate day in, day out at a regular basis, and be committed to that. People want their businesses to pay them and be an easy ticket, but they don't realize that really making it successful takes some diligent hard work.
Andrew Hatchett actually had a really good comment back to about the biggest mistake with marketers, and what he's saying is basically is that they really fail to understand how much the average person hates to be marketed to. I mean, I think we are all
Great
just much
point.
more. We're all much more sophisticated now. Where we know when we're being marketed to versus a more of a inclusion of getting our opinion. I mean, getting back to that whole push marketing, where
That's
people
a
just don't like that anymore. It
yep.
doesn't work.
This is a great point. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Karen, for catching that. And by the way, I'm depending upon you guys to watch the comments in all other areas because I'm limited down to my one screen, and I'm literally got my right hand tied behind my back. So I appreciated that you're bringing in these comments, and I appreciate that comment, and I also appreciate Karen's follow-up comment that basically it's all the modus operandi. We missed the boat by not understanding the marketplace. So the whole thing that he was saying, repeat his statement again because it was great.
So the biggest mistake marketers make is that they really fail to understand how much the average person hates to be marketed to. It also goes in line with Bill Graham, who said previously, I agree with Karen, I believe people have grown to resist the typical car salesman approach, the sales guy. Personally, I want information to make decisions, and the last guy that tried to sell me a laptop was insistent that I need touchscreen. He lost the sale, and I went somewhere else and spent that extra touchscreen money on a better laptop. So don't tell me what I want. Help me what I want. Help me to what I want. That's what I think. That's what the strong message is going to.
Goes back to what you said about 4 questions back on listening. We need to listen to our clientele. Really good input. Thank you very much. We are moving on to number 6. Can a starter with no budget succeed in online marketing?
The answer is yes.
What are they starting?
Well, let's assume that we're talking about advertising and promoting their business.
Okay, let's qualify this. It's a little too broad for my tastes. Because some startups are selling stuff nobody wants. Okay, they are not getting in the way of a freight train locomotive that's unstoppable. In other words, they're not getting in the middle of a need that thousands and thousands of people want.
In other words, their product is not worth it.
They got a clever idea, and they think that this is the better mousetrap, and that they're going to be able to convince people to make a switch over to their product line. Now, maybe a Steve Jobs can do that with his mega budget and marketing and his already loyal followings, but not everybody can just invent a new market and create it out of thin air. You sometimes got to do some market research and find out if anybody even wants it.
Terry, I realize that there are a lot of ways to disqualify people from even being in this marketplace. And I don't want to do that. I want to assume someone has what everyone in the panel would consider a decent idea and a decent opportunity. Where do they get started?
Well, that's the easy answer, of course, is yes. Anybody can get started for free and a little energy, a little to a lot of energy, free. However, boy, don't bang your head against the wall. Find out if somebody wants it first. Really, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's not say, oh, you can make millions of dollars and not have to spend a dollar. No. Find out first if people even want what you're trying to sell, and before you go wasting hours and energy. And sure, you'll learn from the experience, but it's just a hard way to learn,
Well, your point is well taken that we should do our research and due diligence to make sure that we've got a viable market. But if we do, it's very clear that we can do this, and with effort. It's going to take a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears, and we have to get an education on where we can spend our in energy best to get a result. But it's very possible to do it from zero.
I hope we talk about where you're going to get that education in a few minutes.
Well, I will assume that they're going to come to us.
Well, that and
that's why we're doing the show. But that's the point, is people need to research from any direction that they're comfortable receiving from. And that's why we do this, so people know who we are and we become accessible too. So this program is our version of our own outreach and doing it for free, investing the time to do what we love. So Karen, would you like 2 minutes to add anything?
Actually, I was actually reading through the comments on the stream at this moment.
That's really a valuable thing that you're adding to this.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Andrew asks, define succeed. I said, that's a 2-word version of what I said.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about it is that, yeah, if you have a great idea and you can do it with $0 and you can use it with social media, but you got to find influencers. You know, you got to get people to help you spread that message. So it's not necessarily back to Terry where you can do it by yourself. You gotta build that tribe so that they can sit there and help elevate you and your product or your service to get that message out.
So the simple answer is yes, but the more complex answer is you got to develop a momentum and a movement, and you have to influence people, and you got to get people thinking the same, and it really helps to get some help. So when you start joining together with people with similar energies and like-mindedness, it can turn into something, and you can get business from that. Yes, it's totally the whole idea if this with this question was to encourage people not to hold back. And if you've been watching this show a few times and you listen to this show today, you should know that we're willing to talk about just about anything and help you take the next step. You need some guidance? Yeah.
I would actually add to that, it's really important for a business owner. You can succeed online, but in order to succeed, you need to define your goals, meaning what are the overall outcome are you looking to accomplish with this effort?
Sure. I mean, it gets back around to what Andrew was saying, what it defines success. And the whole concept is usually out of desperation, people are saying, I need money, I need profit, I need ROI, and they play all the catchphrases, and then they ping-pong back to the traditional marketing techniques that'll get them there, and they think that that's the way to go. And the market today is a little different with new opportunities. And so we got to get the overview of what the marketplace is. Then we have to step forward into the marketplace and engage in the things that will make a difference for our individual businesses. So that is number 6, and I'm going to step right into number 7, and this is basically very, very simple, and you're going to say, well, God, why do you ask a question like that? But I'm going to ask it because a lot of people are already started by watching this program, but where should one get started? Where should one get started?
So I know for me, where I got started was I started online. I just started searching. You know, I'm a website designer, so I already had a website built, and I know that's a big challenge for a lot of people, but there are online resources. They're known as content management systems that you can use as a business owner. Just to name a few: WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, Wix. Those material design is the latest one from Google. But I think if you ascertain what your goal is and you go search for information, education, you know, hangouts like this, I think that's a really good place to start for a business owner.
Thank you, Molly. And Terry, your 10 words?
Yeah. Find out where your customers are hanging out and go hang out with them.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I mean, instead of being like, how do I attract more customers? How do I get traffic? How do I get people to my website? How do I get more clicks? You know, it's like, go find the people. They're out there. They're playing already. Go to them. Excellent point. Karen, would you want to add something before we try to wrap up this program?
I mean, it goes back to also too. It's like go find them, right? So if it's communities, if it's groups, if it's forums, if it's I mean, even if it's tangible. So if it's your local chamber of commerce, you know, just finding people out there who can spread your message, who you think would appreciate or know what you do, is a place to go forth and find them.
I think that's such a great wrap up to that question, because the idea is you go out and find it, you learn where the people are hanging out, and you go. And that includes going to meetings and going to networking groups, not just being online, but
Yeah.
literally where people are spending their money and investing and exposing themselves as potentials. That's where you go. So that when you do talk about your business and you do get to know people, you are of value in the crowd that you're hanging out with. So, people
You know,
always talk about targeting an audience, and they expect the audience to come from the general gathering to come to you, target your audience. But no, targeting the audience is going to the cluster that's already talking the conversation about your business. Terry?
right. Well, and sometimes you'll go to where the customers are talking about this stuff, and you'll find out that the conversation is not going deep enough in that venue. In which case, you can create your own forum, your own venue, or a community, a Google Plus community, and invite people over there where
Mhm.
you promise that you're going to go into depth on this very topic that is not being covered in enough depth where they are.
Absolutely. Inevitably, what we are trying to do with internet marketing is build a community in which your voice is the strongest and can cover the most people and give to them most effectively and interact with them and get information from them and get the relationship going. So if I were to wrap up the entire 7 questions today, it's launch on a campaign to build your community. And there are steps involved. There's a big statement there, but eventually you want your own community, which can be achieved by starting out from scratch with zero budget.
I think also the key is, I think everyone should know this, it's basically build your email marketing list, because you can be on all the social platforms out there, but again, that's other people's sandboxes, right? You need to get your own list so that if something does happen, you have that list. So if Facebook or Google Plus or Instagram or any of those decide to leave or make you buy ads, what have you, you have that list that you can always continue to market to and to build from.
Friend Finder's still around, aren't they?
I would actually add to what Karen just said, that you should also consider collecting cell phone numbers for text marketing or whatever referred to as mobile marketing, because a lot of people, they're always carrying their phone around with them, and it's an opportunity that if they've already interacted with you online via social or email or on your website, that, well, there's a connection there, and if there's a connection, then why not use the device that they're holding practically 95% of the day.
Okay, well, you know what? We got off on 7 different directions and courses today. It was like overload, and I appreciate that we were started late and ended late. Thank you very much, people. I understand whoever had to leave early, but we've covered some various information points today, and I want to just encourage you. If you're looking at a possible online business, you can do it. And you can start with zero and find a stepping stone that will take you to a place where you can invest more time and money and be more and more effective. Don't try to do everything. Do what you can. And the other thing is, you're looking at communities, you're looking at targeted audiences, but build your own community. If it starts with one other person, build your community. 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 4. Build your community. So we're going to wrap things up with the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thanks a lot for putting up with my tech issues and my loosely structured event where I put my constituents in the green room on the spot. Molly, Terry, Karen, thank you very much for your help today, and I appreciate your answers. And thank you, Marketing Smarties. Good day.